welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning, and hope you're staying safe. Hope you're staying warm out there, and definitely appreciate having you all here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So however you're connecting with us, thanks for being with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and thank you for your time, your energy. Listen, I know that when you listen to a show or you go and do something, whatever we spend our time doing and saying, we can't get that back, So when you spend time here on the show, I just want you to know I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and appreciate the fact that you let me be a part of your day. So apologize for the fact that it took us a few minutes. We got some sad news with my family this morning, and found out that one of my family members passed away, and so it's tough. I haven't gotten to see her in a really long time, and not for lack of want to by any stretch of the imagination. So it's hard because I miss her, but I've missed her for a long time. So I just want to say to my Aunt Mo in heaven, God bless you, and God be with you, Godspeed in getting you up to heaven, and may you be safe and sound, and may you be with, your love, and may you be safe, and may you be healthy, and may you be well, and may you know that you're loved, may you know that you're missed, and I know that your pain is gone. I know that all those things that were bothering you, all those ailments are now gone, and you can feel more like yourself. And I just hope that you're well. I hope you're at peace, and I hope you know how deeply loved you are. So to my Aunt Mo, God bless her in heaven. And it just sucks to have to, see that message this morning, but there's nothing you can do, right? There's nothing we can do. Stuff happens, and you got to navigate. We all got to navigate. And it just reminds you how precious life is. And it reminds you to stop, being stupid with your time. And that's a gut check to me, right? Because there's time that you waste, and then you sit here and you have something happen with your family, and you think to yourself, like, it should be better with my time. I should do this. I should do that. And I'm not a shoulda, woulda, coulda, wanting to be type of guy. So, I'm going to miss you, Aunt Mo, and I have missed you, and I hope you know now that you're watching over us in heaven, I hope you know now how much I love you, and how I would have loved to have seen you. So I just hope your spirit is light, and it's good, and it's well, and I hope that you know how loved you are and how missed you're going to be. So, and say hi to Uncle Bill for me, because I miss him terribly too. Terribly. So we send you our love, and so I thank you all for your patience this morning. I wanted to call my mom, and I wanted to tell her because my mom didn't know. So I wanted to do that. So I thank you for giving me some grace this morning. With that being said, we are inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. For sales and service, make sure you get in touch with them. You can go to greatlakeshondacity.com and get all of their info. And, of course, you can go and visit them today on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York, and definitely go over there. I mean, to me, folks, that's the place. I mean, Great Lakes Honda City, it's the only place I've gone for a vehicle in over a decade. I've gotten multiple vehicles from them, and I keep going back, So I just want to say thank you to Great Lakes Honda City, and I appreciate you, and I value the team that's there. And just had a meeting yesterday with yet another person that's like, yeah, I just got a vehicle from Great Lakes Honda City. So I'm happy to hear that. I've been hearing more of that lately, and I love it. So I appreciate y'all for going over to Great Lakes Honda City. Means a lot to me. We're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, thank you for being with us here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We're going to do what we always do on a Friday, which is bring you our signature segments, the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. LEAD, which is an acronym which stands for Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Chick-fil-A Cicero. And we will also announce our Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare and K-9 Campground Dog Boarding. And then I'm very, very much looking forward to the fact that for the first time ever, I will have Coach Chris Achuff joining me on the broadcast. He has coached at the high school level, at the college level, and the professional level. And now he's going to be hanging out with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a storied history, and I'd like to believe he's just gotten started. So a lot of great stuff coming up for Coach Achuff, and I can't wait for that conversation that will find us here together at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. So looking forward to rounding out the week with Coach Achuff. With that being said, it's time for the Annoying Moment.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The Annoying Moment of the Week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so.
The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Man, there's, like I said, I've said this before, there's a lot of places you could go with the Annoying Moment of the Week. And, you know, there's a lot of places we have gone. I think that, you know, people just, sometimes they surprise you in the greatest of ways. And sometimes people make you scratch your head and you're like, what? You know, and I feel like I've had those moments of those what moments. Those like, what is going on? Why do people act this way? And, you know, I mean, all I got to say is the golden rule is very simple. You could forget everything in your life. You could forget everything you've ever learned. And then there comes the time where there's the opportunity for you to do the right thing, right? And there's this golden rule that's called treat other people the way you want to be treated. It's a very simple rule. It's very simple. It's easy to understand. It's easy to remember. You know, treat other people the way you want to be treated. And some people do that, and they're amazing at it. And some people don't. And I find that there's so many examples in life today where it's like, why are people so selfish? You know, why do people not have, you know, why do they not think of other people? And it makes me sad. It genuinely makes me sad that people don't think about each other. You should. You should be thinking about each other. You should be loving each other. You should be there for each other. And why don't we do that? Right? Why don't we think about the other person? About how things affect people? You know, I have so many examples in life this week, any week, where it's like people want to be treated like gold, but they treat other people like tin, like nothing, right? They want to be valued so high, but they don't value other people that way. You know, they want to be called, they want to be doted on, they want to be given things, they want to be thought of, they want to be first, they want to be the most important, but you can't have that from them. And I just find it weird. And there's one thing that I pay attention to in dating, and I don't know if people know I pay attention to this, so I guess I'm outing myself right now, but when I'm talking to somebody, I'll ask you about you. I got no problem doing that. I'll ask you about you. how's your day? What's going on? You know, what makes you tick? What do you love? What do you not love? What matters to you? What doesn't matter to you? Like I'm all up. I'm all there to learn about you. I am. But I pay attention when somebody doesn't try to learn about me. Yeah, I pay attention to that. I pay attention when somebody doesn't want to talk about like anything going on in my life, right? How's your day? And they answer you. What are you up to? And they answer you. What are you looking forward to? They answer you. If it's a stranger, what do you do for work? Do you have kids? Do you have family? You like where you live? And they answer you. Favorite movie? They answer you. Music? They answer you. And there's no, and what about you? And what about you? And it speaks to the selfishness of the world. And maybe some people, I don't know what it is. You know, maybe some people do it because they've been in selfish relationships. So they want to talk about themselves and maybe they're a little jaded. So they don't want to, it's kind of, they don't come out and say, what about you? What about you? What about you? Because they're so used to like people not treating them as important. So now they want to be treated as important. So now they've gotten a little selfish and maybe they don't even realize it. Maybe it's that. Maybe they're just a selfish person. I don't know. But I pay attention. I pay attention to people like that when it's all about you. Because to me, it's not about me. It's about Jesus. And when it's about me, I have to check myself. I woke up this morning. I grabbed my phone. I said, God, I'm sorry. First thing I should have done, and I'm going to do it right now, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, because I'm not ashamed to. God, I love you. Thank you for waking me up this morning. Thank you for giving me life. Thank you for waking up my dog. Thank you for waking up family members. I hope all of my loved ones are alive and well, and that everyone's loved ones are alive and well, and their loved ones are alive and well today, tonight, and so on. And if anyone has passed on, may they be safe and sound in heaven. May they be reunited with their loved ones that have also passed on. May they all be with you completely. And may we be safe and sound here on earth with our loved ones. And may we be with you closer every millisecond of a millisecond. And may we be connected to our loved ones that passed away, even in death, and help us to not be a part of the chaos or to get lost in the storm or lose ourselves. Help us in the toughest of times to still be close to you, very close to you, to be okay, to stay okay, and to never lose ourselves. So keep us with you, keep us safe and sound, keep us with our loved ones even in death, because dying Jesus destroyed our death, and rising he restored our life. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you for waking me up today. Thank you for my amazing dog, my awesome conversation with my mom, my close relationship with Papa Joe. Thank you that I get to do what I love and love what I do. I get to sit here in my studio of my company and do things the way that I see fit to the glory of you. Thank you for letting me spread your love around the world. I appreciate that. And people say, spread love. Dan, sometimes you take tough opinions. And, yesterday you were talking about the fact that you're not a big LeBron fan, and it's like, okay, but I still respect him as a human being, and I would say it about anybody. I don't see the conversation about LeBron. We could have this conversation about a bunch of players that take days off in the NBA, right? But when you talk about LeBron being the GOAT, that's different. You're saying he's the greatest of all time. And you're putting him up against guys that didn't take days off. Okay? Magic Johnson stopped playing after he found out he had HIV. How long would he have played if he didn't have HIV? You know what I mean? Like, Jordan left and came back. So I'm a big fan of people that go after what they want. And LeBron, obviously he's chasing something that he's really, really good at. And so did Jordan and a lot of people out there. But anybody that, would sit here and say, well, you don't spread goodness, Dan, you hate LeBron. I don't hate LeBron. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate ex-girlfriends. I don't I don't hate people that hate me. So, but you're allowed to have an opinion, you're allowed to have a thought, and my job is to spread God. So, when I have an opinion about something, I also have to be smart about how I share it. And yeah, there's times where I could share it better. And there's times where, maybe things come across wrong. But, I'm a true believer that you treat people the way you want to be treated. And I want the best for everybody. I want the best for LeBron James. I want the best for everyone I know and everyone I don't know. And when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for my life because it's special. So my annoying moment of the week is just, honestly, it's how we treat people these days. We treat people really poorly. And we got to get a hold of this college thing. And I know that I talk about it all the time, but we have to talk about it. I was warning people in 2020, if not before. And here we are in 2026, and everybody wants to know why nothing makes sense. It's follow the bouncing ball, folks. When you don't have when you make massive changes and you have no rules, things happen. I don't know why anybody's surprised that you have this total shift in collegiate athletics. All these things that were illegal are legal. There's no rules to stop them, and we want to know why it changed everything. I'm surprised in a way that it didn't change even more rapidly, but we got to get a hold on it. So my annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Be nice to people, be kind, be considerate, and you got to have structure in life. If you don't have structure, you have chaos. And if you have chaos, well, it's hard to get the horses back in the barn every night. With that being said, Coach Achuff sent me a message here this morning that he's going to pop on now. So we're going to adjust a little bit with lead and the top dog of the week. We're still going to do those, but we're going to make sure we get Coach on. So we got him in the queue here, just waiting to get his picture up so we can see Coach. But as soon as we have his picture up here in the corner, we're going to bring in Coach Achuff here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And now I can see him here in our corner, so we're going to bring him in to the broadcast here where sports meets life. We're inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us where sports truly meets that thing called life. And it's been a long time coming to have Coach Achuff on the show. We got to talk last night. We got to have a little fireside chat, which I always appreciate those. And now we get to have one with you. Coach, how we doing today?
Oh, man, I'm doing really, really well. It's tell you what, it's sunny down here. I'm not worried about the temperature because you guys back in New York, it's going to be a nice and warm 70 degrees here today. So I'm doing well.
Yeah, it must be nice to be down in Alabama where it's spring already and, life is good. It's never not spring in a way, kind of. So, I'm happy you got 70. I will tell you this. In covering the College Football Playoff National Championship, I left January 20th, and it was 70 degrees in Miami. I landed in Syracuse, I think at like midnight or something, and it was negative 12. So I had an 82-degree shift that I'm sure you don't miss.
Yeah, no, I don't miss that at all. Now I will tell you this: like they had the Senior Bowl down here last week, and it was in the 20s. It was cold, and they kept talking about how cold it is down here, and I'm like, it's not that cold. I can be back in New York with the wind chill put you at -5. So I was like, nah, this ain't bad at all. I can handle this.
Well, and that's the thing too is, I got family all over, and I have a lot of family down in Florida. It's the second hub of my company for Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. And so I'm down in Florida a lot, and my family's been telling me like, I'm like, how y'all doing? Man, it's so cold. We got some flowers that are not going to make it, and I feel bad about that, but they're like, man, it's cold. Man, it's cold. And every time they say that, I look outside at the snow that has not melted in 2 weeks, and I go, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel for you, but it's like somebody saying I put my finger on the stove and I touched it and it was hot versus like I'm sitting in an inflamed, like a giant fire. It's like the difference between touching your finger on the stove and like sitting in hell for an hour. It's just a different thing. So, I can feel for people down south, but I just want to let y'all know what you deal with for 2 weeks or 3 days, we deal with for 6 months.
Oh, I'm well aware. I grew up in it, so I'm very well aware.
And share with everybody where your neck of the woods was when you were growing up.
I grew up in central Pennsylvania. I was born right outside of Philadelphia. My dad was a high school coach, and then he moved to central Pennsylvania, to Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, which is about 20 minutes north of State College, where Penn State is. And that's where I grew up, moved there when I was 5. So I lived in Pennsylvania from there until I graduated college, which was Bloomsburg University in 1998. And then I started moving out. So I've been from one part of the country to the other and then back again. So been a little bit everywhere, but my roots are still in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. My mom still lives there. So it's been it's always good to go home and feel central PA.
Yeah, and it's funny that you talk about that area and you talk about Bloomsburg, because I was around that area and spent some time recently over the last few years. So when you're talking about this, I've gotten to know Pennsylvania pretty well. I went to Marywood University in Northeast PA, but I've been all through Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So what you might be saying to someone that's foreign right now, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Coach. And I'm like, yeah, I know that area. I know Bloomsburg. So how would you describe that area? How would you describe your experience of Central PA?
Oh, I love the falls because you get all the foliage and the change of the season there happens. That's my favorite time of the year. Growing up, PA was fall football season, and I enjoyed, just where I lived is in Happy Valley. So you got that valley that sits in there, and it's Penn State football, and you grew up with football around you. And then when I went to Bloom, how that university is situated on top of the hill, you overlook the Susquehanna Valley, and it's what you think about when you think of college football. You think of the atmosphere, you think of the fall, you think of the change of the seasons, you think the leaves and just the smell in the air and things like that. And I loved growing up in PA. I loved living in the woods. I was a country boy, a little bit of redneck, but hunt and fish. And, I got bucks on my wall and shot a few doe in my day too. So, yeah, they weren't, they were in line too in that scope. But I grew up, as a country kid. So, moving around and stuff, it was nothing for me to be in the place I've been, so it was fun. It was being a kid from Pennsylvania and experiencing the things that I had growing up with being where everybody knew everybody in a small town. And, that I think that helped make me who I am and helped me help me grow up to where I am today. Because, you always had to be on your P and Qs. You always had to be sharp. Because, like you said, you turn the corner and there's the sheriff of the town, and he played for my dad, so everybody knew me. I couldn't get away from anybody. So it forced me to be better than everybody else because of how I grew up, who my dad was, who my mom was, and because she was a teacher too, so she taught half my buddies in school, and it's that traditional small town feel, and I enjoyed that. I liked it. That's part of me.
Well, and like you said, you living in that world, right? And like with your dad being a coach and your mom being a teacher, you can't really go anywhere without somebody knowing who you are, and I thought about that too. Like, I didn't get in trouble as a kid, but my dad, it was like, if I got in trouble, like, he was going to know. He was going to know. I was going to, it was going to be on me. And I knew, like, and I was never a kid that wanted to get into any type of trouble, but my dad, he knew so many people. My dad works in the law enforcement world. And so, I knew that. I have, uncles and a godfather that are out there as police officers. And then my mom, she knows everybody. My grandmother, they called her the mayor because she talked to everybody. Like, if we left after church and we went to get some breakfast and we sat in the back, when we came through that restaurant from the back to the front, it would take her a half an hour to get through all the people because she's shaking hands and remembering all this stuff about everybody. So I fully understand and can go with you down that road of, never wanted to be a bad kid, but if you stepped off the line for a second, you knew that somebody knew your parents.
Let me ask you a question. Did you ever get arrested by your dad?
No.
All right. I got thrown out of school by mine.
Okay. Tell that
He was
story.
the assistant principal, and he threw me out of school. So I got suspended in school, and then when I got home, it was not very good.
Well, that's the thing is, like, because you get thrown out by that person who just so happens to be the person you're going to see at home. Can you tell me why you got thrown out of school?
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. It's been more than 7 years. I can do that.
Yeah, let me
And
know.
a kid, I was walking down the hallway,
Yeah.
and the head baseball coach's son knocked my books out from under my arms. I turned around and knocked them out, and picked up my books and walked back to class. And 5 minutes later, I got a call down to the principal's office, and I was kicked out of school. And when I got home, yeah, it wasn't a very good scene when I got home.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But you didn't instigate, so you responded.
No, but yeah, that's true. I finished it, but I didn't instigate. But I finished it, so that was the problem.
Did you learn at a young age from that situation to tell your players that the officials typically never see the first offense; they always see the reaction?
That would be correct. That's an everyday story. Yes.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, I mean, it seems like a normal thing where you go back and you look at it, and I mean, you and I, there's a guy that was on Syracuse a few years back, and we were talking about him last night. A guy that you and I both like, and I'll leave him unnamed here, but there was a game where, and I know his character, and I've been around his family and for years, and he swung at somebody toward the end of the game, and people are like, well, who is it? And then, of course, there's people that don't know Syracuse football, never watch Syracuse football, but because it's on the internet, now they got a reaction to this kid. And there's, people say whatever they say because they don't know the story. At halftime of that game, his father texted me and he goes, hey, he got in touch with me. Like, he got in touch with him in the middle of the game. His son did. And he was like, Dad, he spit in my face. And that's why he swung. So, I mean, we've seen that on the football field before, that, well, we don't see it, but you hear about it. Bill Romanowski's one that stands out. But like,
Yeah.
is there ever a time where you go to a player and you say, okay, yes, I don't want you to retaliate, I want you to keep your composure, but I don't know, coach, I've been spit on when I was a kid in elementary school, and I'll never forget that day, and nobody on the bus did anything. So I mean, is that something where you're like, okay, I want you to pull back, but I also understand that that's kind of, I don't know. I think that
Yeah.
is different.
I had a kid when I was at Baylor. This young man, he's still playing in the NFL right now. We're playing at another school, and he got spit on in the game, and he went off. I thought they're going to throw him out. Thank God they didn't. And I got him on the bench. I told him, I said, you got to calm down. And he's like, Coach, you don't understand. He spit on me. I said, I do understand. You can't do anything. He goes, Coach, we were in the street. He'd be dead. I'm like, we're not in the street. We're on the football field. Can't kill him. So the only thing you can do is just keep knocking the crap out of him. So that's your job. That's what you got to do. Every time you get a shot, you take a shot. All right, but you got to do it between the whistles because they're going to take your ass and throw you home, and then you're done. So, but yeah, I get those things, and there's dirty things that happen in games, and there's things that sometimes are perceived dirty that really aren't. They're just accidents that happen,
Yeah.
and kids react certain ways, and you got to be able to manage that. And that's the really the hardest part is that how to manage kids from different walks of life that have been raised different ways, or maybe not have been raised really at all. And you got to help them understand what their talent is, what their potential is, and get them to where they want to go. Some don't come from a father that has no home with them, just his mom.
Yeah.
And so now you put an authoritarian man in his life, and they don't handle that very well because they've never been talked to about like that by a man, and it doesn't go over well. So you got to be able to manage each kid. You got to be able to understand what drives them. You got to understand what motivates them. You got to understand how they learn. You're always going to have guys. You have guys that are high learners, and it's easy. They can put it down and get it. And then you got ones you got to walk through, write down, rewrite everything for them so that they can figure it out, so they understand how to play, because it just doesn't compute with them, and they have a tough time processing it.
Well, and you bring up an interesting point, and I remember this. There was a team, and it's funny because you worked with the San Antonio Brahmas, and obviously what was the XFL and USFL, which bonded to become the UFL now. And when I was working with the first iteration of the UFL, I worked with the Florida Tuskers, and I interviewed two guys back to back. They're on the same team. One guy went to an Ivy League school, and one kid never really had the education. And they're both fantastic players, wonderful people. But when you had them, on the show, they sounded totally different. Now, to me, like, that's my guy and that's my guy. But then when you go back and you listen to it, it's like, you know, people come from different walks of life. Some people have resources, some people have nothing. And I think it's an interesting point that you brought up, because people are judged based on, you know, how they speak, how much they know, you know, how they dress, their posture, all of these things, how much money they have. But in actuality, it's like, this kid was born into a family where maybe there was structure. This kid was born into a family where there wasn't. This was a neighborhood where maybe this kid saw something that stayed with him forever. This kid's never seen anything. You know, he thinks life is sunshine and rainbows. So when you have, and I love that you brought up this point, because I'm sitting here to myself saying 22 years on the show, and I've never really dug deep into this, and now I want to. How do you navigate a room full of guys where they're all talented, but it's all different? He comes from two parents, he comes from one parent, he comes from a terrible neighborhood, he comes from a good neighborhood, he comes, you know, from a community that's supportive. This kid's been told his whole life he was never going to make it. Like, how do you bring all of that together and teach a room full of people that maybe don't understand each other because they came from different walks?
Well, the first thing is, you always want to bring guys in the room that have the same common goals. And usually that goal is to play at a high level and get where they want to go, which is usually the NFL. That's always the common connector between guys. And then it's like, all right, you set a standard. Here's the standard. Here's where we all got to be on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly, and a yearly basis. This is how we got to perform. This is how we got to act. And then you set the guidelines, and you don't waver from those guidelines. They got to fit into those guidelines. Now, with that being said, that is just the structure of your room. Now, each guy's going to learn differently, you know, so you got to figure out how each guy processes, so that you can give them the information. Like, you're going to give all the information. Okay, all right, Johnny and Jimmy, you guys stay with me afterwards, because we got to break this down a little bit more. Or we're going to put it all in, and so you don't call guys out, because everybody doesn't want to know what each guy is capable of doing. They figure it out pretty quick. You don't want to call them out. We're going to walk through this. Yeah. All right. So you can make it structured so that each guy understands how, within the walkthrough, you make the same calls, but now they're going off of, all right, a verbal cadence instead of seeing things written on the board or watching video. So they're more visual in regards to, they got to line up and do things. You know, in regards to treating kids, like, I try to make sure that I treat everybody the same until you give me a reason not to. Yeah. You know, if you want to act like a fool, all right, I'll treat you how fools do. I'll react to how you act. You know, if you're going to be a fool, I'll treat you like one. If you're going to be respectful and handle things in the correct manner, I'll treat you that way. You know, and usually what happens is, you get those guys who want to act like a fool. Then what happens is they start understanding what consequences are, and then you get them to fall in and understand what the standard is.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I mean, there has to be consequences. I feel like we live in a world today where people think about what they want to say and what they want to do, or maybe they don't even think about it, and they do it, and then they don't think about the consequence. Do you think the game of football helps them to feel the consequences of life? Do you feel like that can still be a teachable thing to say, hey, on this football field and in this classroom, we're going to show you that life has consequences so that you're ready when you go out there?
Hard, because, like, the standard's the standard. Okay, so if you don't meet the standard, like you said, you have to have consequences. But the problem you get now is, if you get these kids who don't care, they want to just do what they do, and they don't like it, they leave. You know, and that's where this whole portal thing, and I know where you're driving at with this, and that's where the portal really comes into play. Is that you have these kids that you say, here's your standard, you don't meet the standard, you know what the consequences are as well. I don't like what the consequences are, coach. I'm going to leave. Okay. And now you got to manage that. Like, I refuse to pamper my guys. I won't do it. I don't do it. And because you're cheating men of an opportunity to grow. Because if they think that as soon as things get tough, they just go someplace else, we're cheating up. Our profession is called to help raise young men. It's always been that way. And that's why I got into this, because I watched how my father raised young men, and when he passed away, and I watched it be almost 2 hours from the back of the line to the front of the line to get through, the pay respects and the stories I heard of how he affected their lives, whether it's, hey, he helped me as a teacher. Hey, I wasn't a very good football player, but he found ways to help me play so I could be a part of the team. Or, hey, I was this guy and he helped me get to where I wanted to go. That's what I want to do. That's what I saw my calling as. So I still believe there's that. I want to still believe there's that opportunity to do that, because as soon as I don't think you can do that anymore, then I'm getting out, because it's not. This is not. It's not what this sport was intended for. It was not what college sports was intended for. It's getting more and more away from that aspect of raising young men into grown men. So we're getting puppies, and we need to raise them into dogs, and we need to take the values that most of them have and get them to develop that. So when they leave here, they are successful businessmen, fathers, husbands, so that they can lead a life that is a life of success, and provide. And the problem you have is with all these kids now, that as soon as they feel adversity, they want to go away. They don't want to fight it. They don't want to fight adversity. They want to run from it and go find something that's easier. And when you have really talented kids that know that they can do that, I'm not going to treat them differently, because I know if I do, then when they leave me, if they stay, I have not done my job in help raising them. I've fostered that atmosphere, that culture of just getting by and helping them just to be easy with them. Life's hard. Life is hard, man. You can't let these kids just go and think I can just leave and move on, because life's too hard. Because once they leave, because the percentage of guys that are going to play and make good money in the NFL is less than 1%. And now you get those guys when they leave and they go get a real job, and it gets hard and they quit and they can't get to another job, or one marriage gets hard and they quit the marriage, or it gets hard raising kids and they don't want to do anything about it. They don't discipline them. We're fostering society where we are in a society of being soft with our kids and not allowing them to grow and be young men, and helping them do that by having structure and having consequences. So you put me on my soapbox for a minute. So, that's the problem I have with it right now. I love my job. I wake up every day and I love my job. I love the opportunity to coach young men and help them get to be better men. I love the opportunity of teaching them football, and as well as teaching them football, teaching them life. I tell my guys, as soon as we meet for the first time, I'm going to tell them, said, if all I do is teach you about football while you're here, I'm cheating you of the opportunity to help raise you as men. He said, I want you to leave here knowing that you got more out of this experience than just football. It can't all be about football. Yes, that pays my bills. Yes, that puts dinner on the table for me and my kids, and it allows me to live a life where I don't have to go without. But at the end of the day, my calling is to help them be better men.
Well, and you let into so many things, and I respect it and I appreciate it. And you actually went where I was going, that if the portal allows, and there are opportunities where a coach lies to a player, they should be able to leave, right? Something happens at home, somebody gets sick. I remember this, and I go back to this, and I keep thinking about it. I probably always will. But the NCAA granted a waiver to a guy who transferred schools before the portal because it looked like he didn't want to compete for his job. So he's at one school, and it's like, well, I want to leave. So I want a waiver to play right away. Why? Because I just want to play right away. And they gave it to him. Then there was a kid that came to Syracuse, and it was like, bad situation. He was going through stuff. I think he wanted to be closer to his mom, and they wouldn't let him play. So here's this kid.
I remember I was here for that. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I'm thinking about that kid who's like, maybe, going through stuff mentally. It's hard. It's tough. And you want to have this time with your family, and you want to do the thing you love, and the NCAA says no. Then you got a quarterback that's like, oh, well, I don't want to compete with that guy, so I'm going to run away. And they're like, yeah, immediate waiver. You went into what I was going to go into. If a kid can jump in the portal and run, and he can do that with no consequence, because there are people that say, okay, first time you do it, you could play right away. After that, we go back to the old rules. You got to sit out a year. And then guys are going to stop doing it because now they're going to be in college for 8 years trying to get 4 years of eligibility So there has to be some parameters to it because, like you said, if you can run every time, you got a guy going to 4 places in 4 years, 5 places in 4 years, 7 places in 5 years, whatever it may be. And now they're going to leave their family. They're going to leave those kids. They're going to leave that wife. They're going to leave that job because they're going to think when adversity strikes, I don't have to answer it. I can just run. And if I've learned anything about God, when he gives you a test and you don't take it and you run from that door and you're like, thank God, and you're smirking, I got away from that door, and you're running in the dark, and all of a sudden you open your eyes and the same door's there. And if you fail that test, the same door's there. And if you don't take it, the same door's there. And I could sit back and go, I think he gave me the same test for like 8 years. He was like, you need to figure this out. And until you figure it out, we're going to keep doing this. It's going to feel like it's some weird Groundhog Day. So, I mean, I appreciate what you had to say because it was along the same thing I'm thinking. You go from being in your parents' house and not being in the real world to eventually you're in the real world. And to me, college was always meant to be that bridge of we give you a taste of the real world. You're away from home a lot of the time, even if it's down the street or wherever it may be. So you're in the real world, you have some independence, but you're still connected to something that's not asking you to do it all by yourself. So to me, college was always that bridge of let's take you from you don't have to worry about anything to it's all on you, and let's help you get to that point. If we take that middle point away, how are the puppies ever going to learn not to pee on the carpet?
Absolutely. Great analogy. I like that. Puppies on carpet. Absolutely. Because they're puppies. They hate that. I tell my guys that all the time. I say, you're just a bunch of puppies. And they're like, no, we're dogs. I said, no, you guys haven't been spanked enough to be dogs. So I'll raise you up.
Well, and the thing is like, and I would think because I know you've coached linebackers at D-line and whatnot, and you know you've had a lot of work on that defensive side of the ball. If I'm playing for you and you called me a puppy, I'm going to want to hit the sled like crazy. I'm going to want to knock the guy out that's on the other side of me. So I would hope that, you know, there's been times where you call them puppies and they're like, all right, coach, I'm going to show you what's up. And I hope that they respond.
Yeah, I got to go. Chase Simmons was like that when I had him. So he was that way. I'd call him a puppy and we'd get on him and he'd get mad. And I'd go to demonstrate a drill. And he goes, coach, let me demonstrate on you. Like, nope. I know what you're going to do. Nope. No. Someone else is going to do this one. No, you're too mad right now. We're not doing that. Nope. I just thought, no, you'll screw it up. I'll get someone else. And then he'd get all mad. But, so, yeah.
So, I want to stick with Chase for a second because my experience with Chase is, so I work with Mother's Cupboard and they partner with the show and I have my own sandwich there. So I'm leaving one day and this big SUV pulls up and Chase Simmons is driving and we start talking. And, you know, I talk about like, hey, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm about. He talks to me and we're like, okay, like we're on the same line here. So we connected even deeper than kind of just, you know, knowing of each other. And I know he was asked to be on the D line. He was asked to be a tight end. He was swerving back and forth here with what people were asking him to do. How would you describe Chase Simmons? Because I don't think he ever really got his flowers. So I'm happy you brought him up because I go back to that day in the parking lot thinking to myself, this guy's got a good head on his shoulders.
Chase does. He is a pit bull. He was my dog that if there's one guy I said that would be a dog to go chase a car, knowing that he can't catch it, that's him. He would go chase that car down the road. Extremely physical, loved football, was a very talented wrestler in high school as well. But more important than all that, he is a true man of God. He is very strong in his faith, and that has grown drastically since he first got here. You know, I watched that transformation I had with him for the 4 years I was here with him, and he's going to be a really good man. You know, I saw that he just went to Kennesaw State. I'm happy for him that he's found a place that he can call home and get to finish up his career. Yeah. And hopefully, I pray that it works for him and finishes on a positive note. And that doesn't mean go to the NFL. That he just finishes with a good experience and gets to finish the game the way he wants to play the game. You know, and then that whether he gets a chance or not, but he can then move on with the rest of his life and be, you know, be a good man, be a good father, be a good husband, do all those things.
So my question to you is he a D lineman or is he a tight end?
Always D-line.
I knew the answer. I just wanted
He's
you to
too
say
mean. He's too mean, too nasty. He's twitchy. He's my kind of guy. So he tries to hurt people. I like that.
You spent 4 years at Syracuse, and you were there under the leadership of Dino Babers. So I got to know Dino over the years. I will never forget the day that he started calling me DT. And my buddy got in touch with me. He was like, man, I love that Coach calls you that. But Dino and I, we always had a good relationship, and it only got better. And if he's listening or watching somewhere, Dino, you know I love you, and you know I appreciate you because you always treated me well. I would love to get your thoughts of 4 years working with Dino Babers, because I don't like that this media world that I'm a part of speaks for people with that and that never really get to know that person hardly at all. And you got to be with him every day in the trenches. So what was it like working with Dino?
I really enjoyed, because Dino and I were friends before I got here. Him and I worked together at Baylor. And when he called me to take the job, I had just got let go at Arizona. So I was all intent, because it wasn't until March. And this is the kind of guy he is, he calls me at 6 a.m. in the morning, Arizona time. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, Dino, I'm in bed. I'm sleeping. I got to take my kids to school in an hour. I'm going to get up in 30 minutes to take them to school. What could you possibly want at 6 a.m. in the morning in the middle of March? And he's like, hey, you coached linebackers before? I'm like, yes. Why? You want to coach my linebackers? Sure. All right. I'm going to start. We'll be up here on Friday. Okay. That's how I got there. All right. But now there's a few other words I had that I won't repeat on that when he called me, when I was asking, what the blank are you calling me for at 6 a.m.? And yeah, so that's how I ended up here. But working for him, Dino's a really, really good man. And him and I had some deep conversations while I was there. I think some things got away from us while we were there, and hence the reason we didn't finish the way he would want to finish as a head coach. But his attention to detail and what we did and how he wanted things run, it was a different thought than what I had been with before. And I respected that, because he stuck to it. He said, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to be. And I was like, okay, as long as we're all still towing the same line every day, I'm good with that, And I enjoyed my time, because it was a good experience. I would like to think it was a good experience with me being on his staff, and he would say that. And I could say it was a good experience for me working with him on the staff.
Well, and like you said, he came in and he was different than some other people that you worked for. What was it about his leadership style, or maybe the pillars, foundation of his leadership, that you felt like was different in a good way, that stayed consistent?
Well, for him, it was all about Ohana. It was about the family, and he would preach family, and with that being said, he made sure that every kid felt like they were part of the family. And some kids would buy into it and some kids would not, because, as you know, kids are kids. But I thought, that his process of getting everybody together was well founded. And I thought that we just, like I said, there's some things that we had that went on that, that prevented us from doing better than we did. I thought we were talented enough. We just couldn't figure out how to get it done on a consistent basis.
And going through that experience in that time, I want to tell you a story about Dino that I think it happened before you got there. So in 2018, obviously Syracuse made it to the Camping World Bowl and they won it. Eric Dungy, I had the opportunity. I actually have him the picture of him crying after from my question when I said, this is not like this season. This is 4 years of people telling you can't, going through injury, all the adversity, and winning this final game for you and doing something Syracuse hadn't done in like 20 or 21 years, which is get to 10 wins. So I want to share a Dino story. It was a post-game press conference, and he said, he's like, Eric Dungy, like, I know he runs, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I know he runs, but he's not going to do a lot of that anymore. Like we're going to pull him in. He's not going to be like that, and then the next season he's in a press conference and he goes, you got to let Eric be Eric, man. And I remember just thinking that, going like, and you talk about dogs, Dungy's a dog.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he's such a dog that I was like, Dino's going to find out that when you tell him not to hurdle someone, he's going to hurdle 3 people. So that's just how he was. But you talk about Ohana. Why did you believe that Dino meant it? Because people talk about family all the time, and sometimes it's smoke and mirrors and it's for the media, and other times like they mean it. Why do you feel like he actually meant Ohana?
Because it's just not something that was brought up in casual conversation. It was brought up every day, and I know that's how Dino looked at it from his time that he spent in Hawaii, and the background he has with his wife and his kids, and and how he raised his daughters, and I got to see that firsthand being with him at Baylor. His daughters used to babysit my kids when we were at Baylor together. So his devotion to family was as strong as I saw with him off the field. He did everything he could to keep it on the field with that team and that players.
Well, I appreciate that trip down memory lane for a second here with Coach Achuff about his time at Syracuse. You also got to spend time at my alma mater of Christian Brothers Academy, working with Casey Brown and Brian Bruno. And like I told you off the air yesterday, Brian, if you're watching and listening, send this man a care package from Brian's Landing. He said he got a drink or 2. I don't know where the food's at, but you need to make sure this man gets some food, or else when I do my monthly thing where I'm with Chef cooking in the kitchen, I'm just going to send the care package myself out to Alabama. But Brian Bruno, Bruce Williams, Kyle Robinson, so on and so forth. What was the experience like at CBA? Because I know that not only did you get to work with those people, but you also got to train your son, which is something that your father got to do with you.
Well, first, Brian gave me more than just a little bit of beer here and there. He did a little more than that. So, Brian, I know you did. You took care of me, brother. I appreciate you. Okay. You did a lot.
I gotta razz him a little bit every here and now, because I know he's
no, but I'm gonna have to.
He's a good person.
That's the problem. He's gonna give me crap about it. I don't need it. So I get enough crap. I don't need any more.
I hear you.
But my experience there was, I was in a tough spot, because when I came back, when we got let go at Syracuse, I couldn't get a job. So I went to the UFL, which was really rewarding. But when I came back, it's like, I got nothing to do. And, I went over to Casey and I just asked, hey, man, I'll volunteer, help out, do whatever. And he was like, absolutely. I said, okay. He goes, I want you to coach D-line. I was like, I'll coach anywhere. He goes, no, I want you to coach defensive line. I was like, okay, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
So, and I knew my son was coming up, and that first year, I knew they were really talented. I knew they had some good guys that could really play. Marquand Sadler, and you had Nolan, and then you had our big cat in the middle, and then you had my son and a few other pieces, and we were really good. But my experience working was because Casey allowed me to be me. He didn't put restraints on me. He said, be you. And if I need to calm you down, I'll let you know. And every now and then he said, hey, coach, I need you to calm down. I was like, okay. All right, you dial it down just a notch for me. Like, yes, sir. And but I was able to help them. I really look at as much as they someone will say I helped them, they helped me. They helped keep my sanity, because I love football. I grew up with it. It's all I've ever really done since the day I was born. And they allowed me to be me and be able to continue to coach. And the relationships that I had with Kyle and with Bruce and with Randall, the O-line coach, Jason Randall, yeah. And with Casey and Gid and Little Gid and all those guys, and being on that staff with them. It was really, really a highlight in my coaching career, being a part of that staff. Take away the state championship, which was awesome, because I never had one. I never got one. I never got to compete with one. And to be a part of that, and then having that opportunity to do it with my son was it was awesome. It was such a strong experience for me, because they did more for me than probably what I did for them. you know, and that's the kind of people they are. That's the kind of coaches they are. That's the kind of men they are. You know, they care so much about not only themselves and then them working together, but they put so much into those kids to help them be better kids, to start them in that process of growing to be men. So when they leave there, they're better than when they got them when they were freshmen or sophomores, you know? So, you know, you talk about places that do it right and they understand how to treat people. They're in a better place that I know of. I've never been a part of it. I haven't seen a better high school staff than what I saw when I was there with them. Not just in knowledge, but also in how they conduct themselves around those kids.
Well, and I appreciate that. And you know, the getting choked up talking about it. I've been there. Casey's been there. It's like there's something else to it, you know. I don't. I mean, there was a day they lost a sectional championship within the last few years, and I wanted to talk to Casey, and you think some coaches just kind of walk out, right? And I was going to text him, and I look up, and I was shooting my video on the field, and I see him walking out of the tunnel, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to go up and I'm going to say something to Casey, and you know, whatever reason he's out here, like let me grab a couple minutes with him, and he beelined right for me. He said, I came out here to talk to you. He said, that's what I came out here for. Came out here to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why the hell would you be thinking about me right now?
Yeah.
And he came out, and I remember I was having a really rough go at some things in life at the time. And I looked, he goes, how you doing? And I get choked up thinking about this. He said, how are you? And I looked at him, he goes, you're not okay. And he grabbed me, and he just pulled me in, and my head was on his chest, and he said, I love you. And I don't think people fully understand. They look at CBA as the big bad wolf, and they talk about, you know, recruiting because it's a private school and this and that. I don't think they know the caliber of human beings that are coaching, and I'm happy that you shed some light on that today.
No, it's why that's what made that experience that so much more enjoyable. Not to mention the fact that I got, like you said, I got to coach my son, and that was a joy myself watching him grow, you know. So it was, that's been fun too. And you're right, the quality of men that they put on that staff to work together, and you know, Eddie, I'm going to talk about you too, Eddie. And then you got all those guys that work from the JV level up that work their tails off and do a great job of being all bought in together and working together. And watching those kids go to the JV games, the varsity guys and the varsity coach, you go watch JV, and it's like we get fired up watching those kids play. And then, we all work together on Friday nights, and then, and then in the off season, you see how everyone comes together and how the standard's the standard, and it'll never be deviated from, because it's a brotherhood, and they believe in that, and they preach it, and it's not something to just talk about, as they live it. And it's the importance of that. And everyone, people want to go there because they think guys get scholarships and all that stuff. And yeah, there's guys that get scholarships out of there and stuff like that. Maybe some more in other schools, but it's more than that. You go there because you want to become a better person. You want to go there because you want to get a better education. You want to go there because you're going to grow. When you leave there, you'll be a better young man than when you first got there, because the standard's the standard. We're going to be 1-0 in everything they do. They're going to be 1-0 in the classroom. They're going to be 1-0 in the weight room. They're going to be 1-0 on the field. And that will never change. And as long as they keep able to operate that way, you're going to keep having the success that they've had. And there may be years when the talent's not as high as it is, but guess what? Those kids will know what the standard is, and they will strive, and they will claw. They'll do everything they can because they know what the standard is, because that is not just something that's talked about. It's a belief. It's a faith. And because that where CBA is, and because it is a Christian-based faith school, you can talk about those things, and you can preach it, and you can live it. And that's the part that makes that place so special.
Yeah. And I love and I appreciate the fact that you were there. When I heard you were on staff, I was like, why? I was like, he doesn't need this. And then you hear about the experience that you had, and it speaks to your character, and it speaks to, having a special moment with your son like you got to have with your dad, and pay that forward. I would venture to say that you could win a million championships, but that's never going to top the fact that you got to coach your own kid. So before I let you go, Coach, because I know we have just a couple minutes, you've been all over. You've coached in high school, college, pro, the San Antonio Brahmas, as I brought up. And I know you and I talked off the air about the Brahmas a little bit, but we can't get to every single piece. I'm going to have you back if you're willing to come on, because you have a very long career that I would like to believe is just getting started. But I do want to ask about the Brahmas, because I value what the UFL and the USFL and the XFL and the AFL and all these leagues and the CFL that have tried to create other opportunities for guys. So I want to hear your thoughts about the Brahmas.
It was, 26 years been coaching football, and my first year there was easily in the top 5. I mean, it's right up there with coaching my son in a state championship game, winning Big 12 championships, things of that nature. And it was because of what the purpose of that league is to get guys to go that want to go play in the NFL. And as long as I believe that is the mission of that league, they still got to turn a dollar. You got to make money to keep functioning these days. As long as they understand and they keep fighting for the fact that they're trying to get kids to the NFL, excuse me, not kids, they're men now, that that league should have a lot of success. In my opinion, the NFL needs to get involved with it more, because now you got the NFL marketing machine, so that can get behind it, excuse me, and help push this thing to keep it and sustain it like they did with the UFL, which I thought was awesome, because you could allocate guys to that. And I think the NFL can be able to use the UFL to do that as well. They've had a better setup now where they can take guys, and if you're there too long, you can't come back, because they got to make room for new guys to come in. But to be able to walk into a room every day, because even the guys I coached here in South Alabama and the guys I coached in high school, they would ask me, what's the difference between coaching like in the UFL and the NFL compared to like high school and college? And I said, it's easy. Everybody wants to put the easy part in and say it's recruiting. That's a part of it. But the bigger part is that those guys understand that as much of it is a game, it's their job. And they have to be prepared to do their job. So when they come into the room, they come into the meeting room, they got their notepads, they got their iPads, they're ready to go. Most of them have already watched tape. They already have ideas because they already know our defense. So they have knowledge. And with that knowledge, they have an idea of what we're going to try to do and then what they think we can do. So there's a lot of banter back and forth. Like, we're going to set the game plan, and then they're going to ask questions, intelligent questions about what we're trying to do. And that's growth. Yeah. And that's where I like our guys to get to that point where they're asking me questions, intelligent questions about what we're doing, because that shows growth and knowledge of what we're trying to teach. So when you're in that room with those professional guys, they go ahead and they're taking detailed notes. They're making their own cut-ups of stuff besides the things that I've already made for them. When we go out in the field, it's not like pulling teeth to get them to go. It's full boogie every day so that they're in a position to go ahead and win, to stay in the NFL or to get to the NFL when you're talking about the UFL. And that's what I enjoyed about it. And when you take a group of guys like that are from all over and you get them bought in to what you want to do, that's why we were so successful my first year. We had 39 sacks in 11 games. That's unheard of. And we were number one in the league in defense. We had led the league in tackles for loss. We led the league in points allowed. We were really, really good. And it started with those guys up front because the culture we created there was that of ownership and that of believing in the guy, not just behind us, but you got to believe in the guy to the right and the left of you so that you can get the job done consistently every single snap.
My last note here, got to ask you this, is, South Alabama, you just took the job recently last month on the D-line, and I'm going to bring us full circle. Obviously, weather had something to do with it, but I want to know why you're a Jaguar in South Alabama right now.
Well, it started out, I took a job as a defensive coordinator at Texas A&M Kingsville, and I was driving to Texas, and I had stopped in Lafayette, Louisiana to stay with a couple of my buddies, and I got a call because I knew some people over here, and I was, at one point trying to see if I could get in on the job over here, and I hadn't heard anything. So the defensive coordinator called me, Todd Orlando, and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to talk with you." And I was like, "Okay." So the short of it was we hung up, and then I just texted him and said, "Hey, I can be there tomorrow." He says, "What time?" I said, 9 a.m. I said, "Okay." So I got in my car, drove 3 hours in the opposite direction I was going, got there, interviewed at 9 a.m., got the job by 1, and I've been here ever since. So that was on January 6th. So I've been there just over a month.
Well, I appreciate it. I look forward to this new chapter. And I'm going to say to you on the air, like I said to you off the air, I want some Brahma gear if you got any in the house.
Oh, man, they gave us so much stuff. I got something you can put on your wall, I promise you.
So, Chris Achuff, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to speak it into existence because it was coming off my tongue just now. Head coach at some point. I see it. Coach Achuff, appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate our conversation on and off the air, and I look forward to this being one of many.
Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Of course, and thank you for everything, and above everything else, thanks for talking about faith, because that is the most important thing. And give my best to your kids, and stay safe out there. Enjoy the weather, and I'll talk with you soon.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Take care. That coming from Coach Achuff one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Can't thank him enough for the opportunity. It's been a long time coming that I wanted to talk with Coach, and I'm happy I got to do it. So, like I said, first of many. That's the plan. And the plans, we adjusted today a little bit because we had to make sure we got Coach on a little bit earlier. So for those of you that were listening to the annoying moment of the week saying, what happened to Lead? What's going on with Top Dog? They're coming. They're coming after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Stay with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily? Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K-9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K-9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K 9, Kamp Ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the Classic Cabin, Executive Cabin, Grand Cabin, and Luxury Cabin. K-9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K-9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, who you just heard from here on Wake Up Call. It is now time to jump into lead. I know we switched things up here a little bit to make sure that we could have Coach Achuff on the broadcast, and so we're going to jump into lead here, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. We appreciate everything that Chick-fil-A Cicero has done to deliver to our community, so much more than simply a chicken sandwich. And they have that Chick-fil-A feel to them, right? That difference in customer service. But to me, it goes beyond that. I feel like a Jimmer Sikowski run Chick-fil-A. It's like Chick-fil-A and all the good things about it. And then you raise it up to this other level to, you go from being on the planet to being out in the universe, traveling through the stars. And I give a lot of credit to Jimmer Sikowski and his team, to Betty, to everybody that we've gotten to talk with and share time with. You know that Chick-fil-A Cicero doesn't just bring you lead, which is here on Wake Up Call, but they also bring you the light between us, which is a segment where I sit down with team members of Chick-fil-A Cicero to tell their stories on, everything what they've been through, their uniqueness in their life, and to share the light that they have received from others, as well as the light that they seek to give to others. And so, a wonderful, positive segment where people can feel free to talk about their faith, talk about their life, talk about what matters to them, and to spread positivity in a world that can always use more of it, right? No matter how much positivity this world has or doesn't have, we can always have more. So with that being said, this edition of Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver coming to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Today's topic is talking about it keeps it alive. Now, this could be a good thing, or this could be something that can work against you. Talking about it keeps it alive. And I was faced with this yesterday. Somebody disagreed with me yesterday. And that's fine. But it's always in the delivery. And it's in how you treat people, especially a total stranger. And I thought to myself, man, I'm going to call up my best friend and I'm going to tell him about da-da-da. And then I didn't. Why didn't I call him? Because the more I talked about it, the more I kept it alive. The more I talked about it, when it happened, didn't really bother me. It didn't bother me at all. And I just carried on with my life. And then I had this time where I had time to think about it afterwards, and you talk about it with somebody, and now, okay, you're talking about it, and then you talk about it again, and now it's starting to bother you because you're keeping it in your life, and you keep discussing it.
And the more you discuss it, the more you bring it up, the more you talk about it, the more it's like, okay, now this thing that wasn't bothering me is bothering me. And I realized something yesterday. Something that my mom has been teaching me for a long time. And my dad. If something bothers you, the more you talk about it, the more it bothers you. Because you're giving it legs. You're giving it life. You're giving... It's almost like whatever you talk about is what grows. And whatever you don't talk about dies. And I could say that. I can say that about other experiences. You know, I was in a relationship where I was the type of person where I'm like, hey, if there's a problem, let's talk it out. Let's figure it out so that, you know, it doesn't stay with us and it doesn't nag us and you know, keep on. Like, let's figure out the problem so it's not the problem anymore. And that person didn't want to do that. And so the problem persisted. And it persisted, and it persisted. And the more we talked about it and got nowhere, the worse it got. And the more you harp on something, that's what you get. Like, the more you harp, it stays with you. And I think it's really, really important for us to not harp on things that are negative. Because whatever you spend your time on, if it's something positive and you spend your time on it, well, you're going to breed positivity. If it's negative and you spend your time on it, you're going to breed negativity. And yesterday, when somebody came up to me and acted in a way that I would not act, especially to a stranger, it was something where you go, yep, you could feel it coming. You sense people, Dan. So sense it, know it. He's going to do what he wants to do and say what he wants to say. You can't control him. And then continue on with your life. But when I talked about it, and then I talked about it, and then I talked about it, and then I thought about it, it was like, you learned, like, you showed me that you grew as a person, because when it happened, you were like, whatever. I don't care. And then I just continued going about my life. But then when I went back to it, that's where I fell back in old habits. That's where I was like, no. The Dan that I want to see is the Dan that goes, okay, that's a choice on how to live your life. I wouldn't do it. Whatever. Now I'm going to eat my pizza. And that's the Dan that I aspire to be. Not the one that's like, hey, let me call 9 people and tell them what happened to me. Because the more you talk about it, the more legs you give it. Now, conversely, if something really good happens, if you, hey, God woke me up today, or like, okay, was it a couple nights ago? Lily and I, my dog, you know, she's my daughter, and we always snuggle. So, you know, we get into bed and she's like snuggle champion times infinity. So she gets into bed and, you know, she'll curl up and I'll pet her. And, you know, but this time she just came into me. Like, she came over, she faced me, and she leaned on my side, and she just, like, it was like this strong, like, just, I want to be with my dad. And I was sitting there in that moment, and I was like, are you okay? Is there something wrong? Do you not feel good? Is there something going on? Because, like, she always shows me love, but you know, it was like this intense amount. So then I went to the negative side. Oh my gosh, is there something wrong? Is there something bothering you? And then I'm looking at her, and it's like, she just wants to hug her dad. She hasn't seen you. You've been really busy, and she just wants you in her space. So just hug her. Just be there with her. And, you know, it's moments like that where it's like, man, the amount of love she showed me in that moment without a single word, harp on that. My conversation with Coach Achuff last night that I loved and I enjoyed and didn't anticipate having, and we're on the phone, you know, just talking. Harp on that. That time when Casey came out of the tunnel after a loss where most coaches would just leave out the back. I shouldn't say most coaches. Some coaches would leave out the back. I know a lot of coaches that aren't like, I mean, I'm blessed to know far more coaches that I respect and appreciate than coaches that I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to talk to that guy. And so, but harp on that moment where I was having a really tough time in my life, and I allowed myself to just take my wall down, put my guard down, and trust that somebody would care for me. And then Casey just pulls me in and says, I love you. I love you, brother. You know, I got you. And those are the things to harp on, the moments to harp on. You know, that's what we need to start doing. Because you can find a jack you know what every day. You can. You can find an idiot every day. I don't even want to say a jack, you know what? That hurt my heart to say that, even though I didn't say the word, so I'll take it back. You'll find somebody that might try your patience. That's a better way to say it. Every day. Every day. If you look for a problem, you will find one. And in the same respect, if you look for a blessing, you look for love, you'll find it. Like people, oh my gosh, the snow. I look outside and I'm like, oh my God, it's so pure. It's so white. Like it's so beautiful. Like it's untouched. There's no dirt on it. You know what I mean? When that first snowfall, yesterday the snow fell on my car and I knew it was light. You could tell that it was like really light snow, kind of like almost like cotton, right? Almost like feathers that you could just blow away. And when I was brushing off my car, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty and it's so beautiful. And it's so like just the essence of that type of snow. It just hit me some kind of way. And it's like, harp on that, right? Coaches at South Alabama, they're the Jaguars. And I decided to wear my big cat shirt today. And I didn't even realize how much it connected to the team he's on until I was talking to him and looking at the camera and watching, and I was like, oh, that's cool, God. Thanks for that assist. Harp on that. You know, don't harp on these things. And life really becomes, and my parents are sitting here nodding their head going, yeah, Daniel, if they're listening right now, like we've told you this 5 billion times. But whatever you talk about the most, that's what affects your life the most. Like if you talk about positivity, then you're going to get there. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have the right to talk about something that frustrated you or bothered you or is on your mind. You know, you have the right to speak your piece, but it's like speak it and be done with it. You know, and I've thought about that before. I'm like, man, when I had a relationship that just wasn't healthy, if I prayed to God about it, I was okay. Talked to my mom about it, I was okay, but I got a little more frustrated. Then I called my dad. Now I feel like shortness of breath. Tightness in my chest. Then I call my friend. Now I got a headache. And by the end of the day, I'm like exhausted. And it's not that you don't have the right to share, but I just told the same story about the same pain to 4 different people, and now it's consumed my entire day. So you have a choice. If somebody cuts you off in the road and your mom calls you, you can be like, hey mom, how are you? How's your day going? You want to get together today? What's going on? Or you could be like, hey, mom, you wouldn't believe this jerk, and go into that. You get to choose. Like my parents don't know that there was somebody that was rude at the event I was at last night because I didn't tell them. You want to know why I didn't tell them? So I wouldn't harp on it. So that I didn't give that person any bit of my energy. I pray for you. I hope you get rid of whatever's made you angry in life. But if I told my mom and I told my dad, I would have thought about it all last night. I would have had shortness of breath, would have woke up this morning, would have bothered me all day. Whatever you talk about is what you keep alive. And in the same respect, like when somebody passes away, they say you die twice. You die when you die, and you die when people stop uttering your name. Well, I never stopped talking about my grandfathers. They're never going to die. They're up in heaven. They're living everlasting life. I'm never going to stop talking about my grandmas because I love them. I will always love them. And I'll see them again. I'll see my grandpas again. I'll see my Aunt Mo again. I'll see my Uncle Bill again. I'll see Mordu and Cinnamon and Shady again. Sonny and Magic and Daredevil, my pets. I'll see them again, my family. Rob Edson. I'll see him again. Dustin Rhodes. Fred Reed. I'll see them again. Jay Hammerin. I'll see them again. Uncle Bucky, Uncle Richie, Uncle Pat, Uncle Pete. I'll see him again. You know? Aunt Mary, Aunt Josephine, Aunt Fran, Aunt Rita. I'll see him again. right? So I don't mind talking about them because I'll see them again. And I'm not going to let them die twice. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If somebody means something to you and they matter to you, they don't go away. They just don't. And I think it's really, really important for us to celebrate the good things and to focus on the good things. I got a choice. When I go have dinner with my dad, that means I got 1 to 2 hours with Pop. I can either sit there and tell him all the things that piss me off, or I can tell him all the things that make me happy and hear about him. If I'm talking about all the stuff that pissed me off, before I know it, the dinner's over and now I feel like I wasted it. There's always that like feeling in my chest and in my gut, like, dang it, I just wasted this whole dinner. Now it's done and now I want to get all the time back. But you're the keeper of your life. You don't have to waste it. Right? Well, Dan, what am I supposed to do? That person hurt me. Da da da. Okay. What you're supposed to do is understand that some people are jerks. Sometimes they're jerks for a minute because they had a bad day. Sometimes they're jerks all the time. And they've chosen to be a jerk. I tell people there's only one type of person I don't like, a diligent blank hole. Somebody that wakes up every day and they're like, I want everybody to hate themselves because I hate myself. And I pray for that person just as much as I pray for my family, myself. I don't want to be around those people, but I'll pray for you. 100% I'll pray for you. But why should that person live in my existence, right? You ask a girl out, she says no. I forget what she looks like. Well, Dan, that's rude. Why is that rude? It's a dead end. I move on. Right? I don't think about the stuff that didn't work out. It didn't work out. I take the lesson, right? The lesson was God saying, you really want it. I don't want it for you. No. What's that? God didn't make the decision. She made the decision. There's a reason why we don't. If I had dated the girl I wanted to date in high school, I might have never gone to Marywood, never met the people I met. I might have never played basketball, never got that phone call from Marywood, never went to Marywood because maybe I want to go where she, because I know the type of person I am and I'm the romantic that I am. I'd want to go where she wanted to go so that we stay together so we don't have to have long distance. So now I don't go to Marywood. I don't meet those people. I don't make that connection. I don't meet Brendan Murphy. He's never on the show. We don't have a friendship of how many years now. I don't meet Gabby Holko. I don't meet Enrico Mastriani. I don't meet Eric Grunman. I don't meet Pat Murphy. Right? There's all of these things that if I had dated the girl I wanted to date in high school, I don't live in Florida. Maybe I never work on ESPN. I never start my own business. Who knows? Right? So when we say, yeah, people have free will. Yes, they do. But God has a plan. We have free will. But his plan is his plan. Well, Dan, does that mean that everything's predetermined, so I should just sit on the couch? No. You have the ability to affect your life and potentially affect other people's lives. But there is a guiding hand. And there are doors that close or never open. And if you think about it, yeah, that girl had the free will to not date me. But you think that coincidentally that didn't happen so that, you know what I mean? That would have changed my entire life. It would have changed it. If it kept me from going to Pennsylvania and Florida, it would change a ton of relationships that to this day bear fruit. So God's going, I know you want her, but I need to get you to 70 other people, and I can't get you to the 70 through her. So no. Right? If he can part the Red Sea, then I think he can guide me with a couple things. And people can think that people that believe in God are crazy, but hey, if that's what makes me crazy, call me crazy. I'm never going to stop believing in God. Who else am I going to believe in? Man? Human beings? We're fallible. We fail all the time. He's never failed me. Well, Dan, this mystical guy in the chair, what if he doesn't exist? Then how would you explain the world? How would you explain humans? How would you explain that human beings and animals understand each other and learn language? That if I grew up around a gorilla and spoke Spanish to the gorilla would understand Spanish. But if that same gorilla was a baby and I taught it English, it would learn English, just like a human being. So it would understand whatever language I taught it, and it would understand my body language, the actual language, and it would pick it up. How does my dog understand me? They come from wolves. I'm a human. Why are they not feral? Why doesn't she attack me in the middle of the night? Why does she treat me as her father? How can she find parental love in a different species? How can I find child love in a different species? See, if you look around you, people that don't believe in God, and you're free to do what you want to do. I welcome everybody to the show. Let's be clear. If you don't believe in God, you walk around every single day just thinking everything happened by accident. All these dominoes just hit the right domino at the right time to do the right thing. Who pushed them? Who hit the first domino? It is more crazy to not believe in God than it is to believe in God. Because if you don't believe in God, I mean, we're all made up of atoms. How do these atoms stay working together? Why don't they just all separate and we blow up? I mean, how does any of this work? How do planes stay in the sky? Well, Dan, it's technology and this, that. Okay. How do we figure it out? Well, people are smart. Well, if they're so smart and people have always been smart, why did they create it 300 years before they created it? How do we come up with this stuff? How did I start my business not knowing how I'm going to get on the air, but knowing I was gonna, and then get to the point that I'm at today? When people ask me, like, did you know this or did you know? I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't know how to do the things that I did. I figured it out as I went. So you're telling me that I accidentally made the right decision repeatedly? That I accidentally just figure things out? Right? Or the friendship that leads to the other friendship, that leads to the business partnership, that leads to this information and this wisdom that helps me to open this thing and do this part with my company. And then because I did this thing and went to this place with my company, I meet my future wife. You're telling me that's all coincidence? It's all just random behavior? That sounds crazy. Well, Dan, some people have great lives and some people are lucky and some people aren't. You realize the luckiest people are the ones that are preparing the most, doing the most. Okay, let me paint a picture about what you focus on. Yesterday, before I went to my event, there was like a series of just like things that happened that could piss anybody off. Like in the house, it was like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Then I get to the event. I can't find a parking spot close. I park farther away. And then I put everything on there. My equipment falls off of the dolly. It scratches my equipment. I drop my glove. I just got these gloves because I lost a pair of gloves. So my mom got me a new pair of gloves for Christmas. I get in there. I'm setting things up. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. Like 6, 7, 8, 9 things went wrong on the way to the show. And then I forgot all that. I sat down. I had great conversations with the kids. I had fun. Then I sat with somebody who I'm building a friendship with, and I value that human. And then I had another conversation with a friend. And then I came home, and I played with my dog, and I had another conversation on a relationship that I'm building, and I went to sleep. So what do you think I gave legs to last night? The 7 things that were minor things that together make somebody think, oh, what does God have it out for me? Da, 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 da. Or did I look at my life and go, wow, I still got here, right? The devil was like, throw something under his foot. Throw something at his head. You know, have him dodge and jump and not trip over these. And let's see, he's trying to trip you. And I didn't fall. Or if I did, I got back up. So the devil last night is going, I can't stop this guy. And God's going, yeah, I know, huh? So, life is what you focus on. Your life becomes what you focus on. You get what you put out there, right? Talking about it keeps it alive. So you can either spend today talking about all the blessings you have and the appreciation. Well, Dan, I don't have any blessings. Really? You woke up. That's a blessing. Can you walk? Yeah, I can walk. That's a blessing. Can you feel your hands and legs? Yeah, Dan, that's a stupid question. What do you mean? I always feel my hands and legs. That's a blessing. Not everybody does. Can you speak? I'm talking to you right now, Dan. That's a blessing. Does your brain work? Yeah. I can think of a thought. I have a clear mind. That's a blessing. You have a car in the driveway? Yep. You can drive wherever you want? Yep. Can you pay for gas? Yep. That's a blessing. Well, Dan, I'm talking about other stuff. What are you talking about? We just talked about how many blessings, right? We have overcomplicated life that we have to have all this stuff. You got a ton of stuff in your house. Okay. The more stuff you put in your house, you're still like, if you want to have a wife or a husband and you just buy a ton of stuff, no matter how much stuff's in the house and how many rooms it takes up, there's still a hole inside of your heart. Is there not? Well, Dan, yeah. I got everything in the world, but I got nobody to share it with. So how can you tell me that God's here for me and God blesses me? Because you just told me you have everything in the world except for one thing. You know how many people are looking for all the stuff that you have? They might have that other thing, but they don't have the other stuff. I know people that are happily married, but they might hate their job. I love my job, and I'm not married, right? And some of us get it all, perceived as all, and some of us get some of it. But if God wakes me up every single day and lets me live the life that He's allowed me to live up to this point, I have learned that I have complained a lot. And God didn't deserve to hear me complain one time, let alone all of the times that I've complained. So I'm going to do something today, and I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing. Talk about positive things. Keep those moments alive. Forget the person that cut you off, that was rude to you, disrespected you, or came at you sideways. Because who cares? People are going to do what they want to do. Who cares? And I'll tell you what. When people know they're living rent-free in your brain, why would you let evil smile today? Think about that. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. Lead Chick-fil-A Cicero. Head out there today. The first Chick-fil-A in Central New York on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York. Jim Sikowski and the team, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And I thank you for welcoming me into your home for so many years. The love is genuine, it's real, and I love my Chick-fil-A family. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back in the Great Lakes Honda City Studios for the Top Dog of the Week right after this.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing, and so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing. amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. We want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. You can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place, and I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. We have a delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, and you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location, and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. We understand how hard it is to work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
New York, great cars, great people, great lakes. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Find your way over to GG Cards and Breaks Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. You never know what you're going to find. They have so many singles, graded cards, potential 101s, numbered cards in general, low-numbered cards, RPAs, rookie patch autos, so many cool things. Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, One Piece. You never know what's going to be there. It's awesome that no matter how old you get, it keeps this kid spirit, the kid wonder, the kid hope, right? I hope I'm going to open that. Like, I remember being a little kid going, give me a Damon Stoudemire, my favorite player growing up. Give me a Damon, give me a Damon, give me a Damon. And now to this day, GG Cards and Breaks, they know I love Damon Stoudemire and I love my Raptors. So Josh and Anthony, when something comes through that's Damon related, they get excited like I do. That's the beauty of it, right? To always keep that child excitement, that child wonder, that child appreciation. There's beauty in that. So make sure that you get yourself over to GG Cards and Breaks, because I think the best adults are the ones that keep that kid spirit. And you can do that by going to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. We'll see you over there. Big time shout out and thanks to Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. Chick-fil-A in DeWitt is a massive Chick-fil-A. You cannot miss this Chick-fil-A by any stretch of the imagination. You could probably see it from the International Space Station. Giant brick building with a double drive-through, and of course, you can go inside as well as order on the app, and you can also get in touch with them for catering and fundraising. All of that information, go to wakeupcalldt.com, click on the Chick-fil-A Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard logo, and it'll bring you straight to them and straight to what you need, be it catering, fundraising, or you want to order your food right now, or you just need their location and need to figure out where you are and how quick you can get over there. Head over to Chick-fil-A on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard today. Let them know that DT sent you. And I appreciate Megan Sorber and her team and the work they're doing. It is now time to jump inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios for my Top Dog of the Week. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 is the number to call for K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. You can find them online by going to K-9 Kamp.com. That's K-9 Kamp.com. Top Dog of the Week. Who makes it? Who takes the cake? My top dog of the week got to be Sam Darnold, man. Got to be Sammy D, because he's out here doing it. They left him for dead at MetLife in New Jersey. They said, Sam Darnold. Jets got another quarterback, drafted another guy who's not worth a lick. He didn't do anything for us. Didn't bring us to the playoffs. Didn't bring us a championship. Man, Sam Darnold, he washed up. Let him be somebody else's problem. Then he went away. And then he kept working. And then he kept working. And then he kept working. And eventually, he's in the NFL title game. I guess it wasn't Sam Darnold after all. I guess Sam Darnold really is talented. I guess Sam Darnold wasn't a bad guy to draft. He just had to be in the right place, around the right people. And maybe he had to grow a little bit as a person. We can always grow. But Sam Darnold was left in the black hole of the NFL. And Seattle said, I think there's a star in that black hole. We should go grab it. And they did. And they brought him out. And they gave him a shot. And what did he do with that shot? Brought the team to the title game. Well, Dan, it's only because he has Jackson Smith and Jigba. Okay, let me tell you something. Yeah, it helps to have talent, but you got to still get the ball out to them. Well, Dan, he's got a good offensive line. Yeah, every quarterback needs a good offensive line. Well, Dan, he's got a good defense. Yeah, you need to have good defenses. Give Sam Darnold his flowers, okay? I'm not saying don't give the flowers to everybody on the Seattle Seahawks for making it to the title game and being the number one seed in the NFC and leading the number one division this season of all 8 divisions in the NFL. That's right, the NFC West. Why do I say that? Because 3/4 of their division had at least 11 wins in the regular season. There were other divisions that were just trying to get to 8 wins to get in the playoffs in 17 tries. So I want to talk about Sam Darnold. There's Sonny D and there's Sammy D. And Sammy D, he's made it all the way to the title game. Shall we look at the history of Sam Darnold? Let's just look through the statistical history of Sam Darnold, the stops that he's made and what he's done. Let's just go do that for a second, shall we? For number 14, the current quarterback of the Seahawks. He has had himself a journey. He was drafted by the Jets, and in 2018 played in 13 games. Completion percentage, 57.7, 2,865 yards, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. 2019, 13 games, 61.9% completion percentage. Bumped it up a little over 4%. 3,024 yards, that went up. 19 touchdowns, that went up. 13 interceptions, went down from 15. 2020, the COVID year with the Jets, 12 games. 59.6% completion percentage, so it went down a little bit. 2,206 yards, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. All right, so then the Jets let him go. He goes off to Carolina, who was changing quarterbacks like underpants. And Carolina had a lot of problems. Well, he played 12 games there, 2021-22. 58.9% or 59.9% completion percentage. Okay, right around 60. 2,527 yards, 9 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. All right, not great. The next year, 2022 at Carolina, only 6 games. 58.6% completion percentage, 1,143 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 2023, played in 10 games with the Niners, but only attempted 46 passes. 60.9% completion percentage, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So even though he played in 10 games, he was a backup, right? He wasn't out there that much. 2024, he becomes the starter in Minnesota when J.J. McCarthy goes down. 17 games played in the regular season, the whole regular season. So the most games he had ever played in an NFL season, and he had the most attempts he's ever had in an NFL season, 545. The most completions he ever had in an NFL season, 361. The best completion percentage he ever had in an NFL season with 66.2%. The most yards he's ever had passing in an NFL season with 4,319. The most touchdowns he ever had in an NFL season with 35. And he had 35 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 23 more touchdowns than interceptions, which was the biggest gaping divide between touchdown and interception that he's ever had in his NFL career. So what does that say about Sam Darnold? He got better with time. The more time, I always look at this statistic. This is what this person did for this many games. When you add the games, does their performance go down or does it go up? These are the most games he's ever played as a starter. And it bred the most completions he's ever had, of the most attempts he's ever had, the best completion percentage. So the more time on the field he had, the better he did. The more yardage he had, the more he got the ball to the right team, the more touchdowns he had, and the better divide between touchdown and interception. This season with Seattle, 17 games. So now he's had 2 seasons where he's played the entire regular season as a starter, which shows the longevity of his body and the health of his body the older he's gotten, which is also a good thing, which means he's taking care of himself. 17 games, 323 completions, 477 attempts. Best completion percentage he's ever had in the NFL is in his most recent season, this season, 67.7%. Like I said, aging like a fine wine. 4,048 yards. So now back-to-back seasons of 17 games, back-to-back seasons of a completion percentage of 66% or better, back-to-back seasons of 4,000 passing yards or more, and 25 touchdowns this season to 14 interceptions. So a little bit less touchdowns, 2 more interceptions, but still showing the positivity that this has had. And this is in the regular season. If we look in the postseason, he had 1 game last year with Minnesota, 25 of 40, 62.5% completion percentage, a touchdown and an interception. This season with Seattle, 2 games played in the postseason, 69.8% completion percentage, best completion percentage he's ever had in the history of his NFL career. 470 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks for Sam Darnold in 2 NFL postseason games this season. So he's getting better. The longer you have him out there, the better he plays, and he's playing his best right now. Sam Darnold, my top dog of the week, and I respect both of these teams. I'm picking Sam Darnold in Seattle to hoist the trophy. And that guy that was left for dead, I think he's going to be an NFL champion. So, shout out to Sam Darnold and the crew in Seattle, and shout out to New England and the crew, Drake May and everybody. Drake, in only his 2nd season in the NFL, going buck wild out there, having a day. So, I mean, these 2 teams, awesome. Whoever wins, like I said, they're an underdog. Who thought New England was going to get here this quick after Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? And who thought Seattle was going to get anywhere since Russell Wilson and, you know, the glory days, Marshawn Lynch and the Legion of Boom and whatnot, Richard Sherman, and so on and so forth. So who gave Seattle the nod this season and who gave New England the nod this season? Probably not a lot of people. If you did, God bless you. And, you know, I appreciate it and I respect it and give credit where credit's due and flowers where they should be. I didn't see this coming, and I'm really happy that we got these teams. And I can't wait for the championship game that's going to happen this weekend. And I hope that you enjoy watching it with people that you love and appreciate, or just watching it at home, hanging out by yourself, right? Enjoy the game. Have fun with it. I appreciate you being here. That's been the top dog of the week. Sam Darnold. Like I said, there's a Sunny D and there's a Sammy D. Top dog of the week. If you're looking to bring your dog somewhere where you can trust the staff to have your dog for a few hours or for the day, 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to call K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, Chad, Lorraine, and the crew. You can also go online to K-9kamp.com and get more information. You can go to wakeupcalldt.com, click on their logo for K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, and go straight to their website with all their info. They bring you the top dog of the week every Friday, and today we're honoring Sam Darnold. We thank you for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both / WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Every single show this week has been over 2 hours. I think last year we did 2 shows that maybe didn't go over the 2 hours we promise you. We promise you 10 hours a week, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. This week, we gave you, let me think about this. So I want to say that was like 6.5, then 9.5, then 11.5, and today we went over. So I said 11.5. So yeah, so we've given you somewhere around 14 hours this week when we've promised you 10. And that's of content, not of like 12-minute commercial breaks, because we don't believe in that here. I believe in my partners and in sharing their info, but we do them in fast breaks. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And if you're feeling the need, all you have to do to get in touch with us on your Google device or your Amazon device with Alexa is just to say, play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you. Big time shout out to our Central and Upstate New York partners, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Brakes, Myers Creek with 2 locations, 33 Rippleton Road, and Kaz out at the brewery on the countryside, and at their tap house in the wonderful Syracuse Inner Harbor on 720 Van Rensselaer Street. Big time shout out to K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, where we were last night, making history. First time I ever interviewed twins, and first time we ever had a JV team. So shout out to Baldwinsville Bees JV boys basketball, to head coach Brett Lika, who's in his first season as a head coach ever, to having our first JV team on the show, to celebrating the Bees as always, to celebrating Pizza Man, and for having our twins and the Mallory twins. We had Lamage and Marak, and I like, if you put it together, it's Mirage. I think like that's the coolest, one of the coolest nicknames I could have accidentally come up with. Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world. Make sure you go out to 201 7th North Street and wake up your taste buds in Liverpool. Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, Game Point Sports Complex, Avicoli's, Mother's Cupboard, Brian's Landing, K-9 Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Onondaga Community College Lasers. Find your lasers in the Laser Lounge. YouTube.com / WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Find the OCC playlist with unprecedented coverage of OCC, covering sports that have never been covered and covering student athletes and coaches all throughout the Laser family. This is something that's meant a lot to me over the years, and with over 12 years of covering OCC, to be able to do something with the Laser Lounge for the last 6 months has been an absolute privilege and honor, and it's an ode back to Rob Edson and to the vision that him and I had together. So God bless to the family over at OCC. Thanks to Rob Edson, Mike Borsch, to Taylor Casella, the coaches, the student athletes, and everybody past, present, and future. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dave Paziak, Mike Wheeler, Chuck Wilbur, Tom McDonald, and so on and so forth. So shout out to OCC. Get more info at onondagalazers.com. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide in what we call Bearcat Time. Hanging out with the Bearcats here on Wake Up Call with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. Their athletic director, Gene Marshall. We've had the president on, Harvey Stanger, the former president now. We look forward to continuing to talk with the leadership, with student athletes, with coaches, with alumni. We've had fantastic, wonderful people on here for 2 years and counting, and I just feel very grateful that that hard work to get Binghamton on, I was not going to let it go. And I'm happy that Gene saw my vision, and I'm really happy that I've had an even better time than I thought I was going to have with Binghamton. So shout out to 20 years to come by the grace of God. So thank you to Binghamton. Find them on youtube.com / WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, thanks to Carvel for the annoying moment of the week. Thank you to Chick-fil-A Cicero for lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Thank you to Sam Darnold for being our top dog of the week, and shout out to K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. Please enjoy the game. I respect the Patriots and the Seahawks, and by naming Sam Darnold my top dog of the week, that's just because this man was left for dead like Baker Mayfield, so I wanted to give him his flowers and show him some love and put a little spotlight there, but I'm excited for this game. Seattle, New England, love it. 2 underdogs playing for a title, so no matter who wins, we know it's going to be somebody that maybe wasn't given their flowers at the beginning of the season, but they're going to get them now. And someone I want to give their flowers to as well, Coach Achuff, Chris Achuff. Happy that he was on the show and really happy that he got to honor his dad by doing something with his son that his dad got to do with him, which is coach his child. So God bless to the Achuff family. God bless to you all. Have a beautiful day. We've had great events this week. I can't thank you all enough, to the Wildcat Sports Pub, to Pizza Man, to Avicoli's last week, and everything we've gotten to do. Thank you to all my incredible partners. Thank you to Great Lakes Honda City for believing in me and being my exclusive studio partner and opening the door and letting me in over 10 years ago. Shout out to Elijah, shout out to Mark, shout out to Malik, and everybody at Great Lakes Honda City on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. And it speaks to what you guys have accomplished. The fact that I've had multiple guests on my show within these last couple weeks that told me I bought my car at Great Lakes Honda City as well. So shout out to you. Much love. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as we always say here on Wake Up Call, God bless, no stress. Do your best. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. And appreciate your blessings. Remember that life becomes what you focus on. So focus on the positive. Be good to yourself. Take care of your mind, your heart, your body, and your soul. And may God lead you every step of the way. May he guide you and guard you. I love you all. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.